it may sound like a cliche, but it's actually true. You can literally help save a life. Maybe that of a stranger, maybe a friend, or a loved one. You've seen the social media blasts and the emails, urgent need for blood donors continue. Well, chances are those messages came from Megan Borgman, donor recruitment and field representative for Versity Blood Center of Indiana. We asked Megan what has contributed to the increase in those messages.
One, COVID obviously was a major detriment to the blood supply. So a lot of people don't realize that the majority of the blood that we collect in the state of Indiana actually comes from drives in the community, not what we call our brick and mortar donor centers. The majority of the blood that we collect that serves our hospitals here in Indiana is actually collected at drives in our community, whether that be with your local church or your school or your Elks Lodge, your business. And so when COVID occurred, the main thing that happened to us is visitors were restricted. So a lot of schools obviously went to no visitors. Businesses went remote that were able to. Those manufacturing facilities, their visitor policy was no visitors, which includes blood drive. And so organizations that have been hosting with us for decades couldn't host with us for the time being. And so that was a huge hit to the blood supply. We went into COVID slightly down as it is because of just natural donor aging. A lot of our donor pool are loyal donors that have been donating religiously for 30, 40 years. A lot of conditions, health conditions and medications that occur more frequently as you get older mean that you can't donate blood. So, for example, say you have a heart condition and as you get older, you went on bypass and you're on blood thinners. You can't donate blood then. So it's not that age itself is a deferral, but conditions that arise as you age can defer a donor. And we're not seeing the younger generation step up in the quantity and frequency that our loyal donors have been.
Now, Megan actually explained that COVID had a collateral effect on the deficit of blood donations.
So those remote jobs that we were hopeful would come back once COVID subsided have kind of saw that remote work, it works for them. And so they may not even bring employees back in person, or if they do, it's not going to be at the frequency or the quantity that it was before. So all of that combined was kind of a perfect storm of in and out of critical shortages where we'd get ahead for a few days and then an incident would cause us to deplete the supply and we'd be back into a critical shortage.
And she explained to us what might suddenly escalate the need to replenish the current supply.
So if there's an accident, a car accident victim has the potential to require over 100 pints of blood. The average blood drive brings in about 15 units. So you have to think you're looking at 10 blood drives for one car accident victim potentially. If we aren't able to recoup those units the next day or the next, then ultimately then you get into a predicament where a patient may be stable but need a transfusion and they're told they have to wait.
Now, we learned that there are various needs for blood that you might not actually think about.
We transfuse platelets a lot for cancer patients, again, mothers giving birth, transplant patients, so just like a liver transplant or a heart transplant, that's going to use some pints of blood. Sickle cell patients, sickle cell is a disease that is predominant in the African American community, and it's why a diverse blood supply matters. Babies in the NICU can need transfusions. There's just so many things outside of a major accident that we need blood for. The latest statistic that I was told was that we need over 650 units a day to supply the over 95 hospitals that we provide blood for in the state of Indiana.
In addition to a mini physical, at the time of your donation, Megan says there are even more safety factors that are built into the donation and recipient nexus.
When the blood is taken back to the blood center, it is run through 13 infectious disease panels. So there's some extensive testing done on that donation before it is sealed and delivered to the hospitals to be given to a patient. The FDA is the governing body for blood donation because it's considered a drug. So there are rules and regulations that are constantly changing and being evaluated to make sure that it's completely safe for the donor and the recipient.
She added that while many think they might not be eligible to donate because of medical or medicine factors, those rules are changing all the time, making more eligible to donate. And as for the current status of our area blood supply,
we are okay right now as far as our current inventory that we were notified of this morning. And so a lot of what you'll see with our messaging now is more of an urgent need for donors. So we don't want to let off the gas because in reality, If we don't see the steady stream of donors, then in 2 days from now, we may not be fine.
Now, Megan says there is ample opportunity for you to make this life-saving gesture.
If you go to versity.org, so it's VERSITI.org, there's an option to search by zip code, and then you can see all the open to the public drives coming up. Madison County is an amazing community and has stepped up for local patients. But we have blood drives coming up with like the Anderson Police Department, the Madison County Government Building. We host every 2 months at the Alexandria Community Center. We host every 4 months at the Elks Lodge in Elwood. We are at St. Vincent Mercy in Elwood on a regular basis. Community Hospital in Anderson on the third Monday in April. On April 7th, Pendleton Heights High School is hosting a community blood drive, and that one actually benefits a graduating senior with a scholarship as well. So we're probably running 35 to 40 blood drives a day throughout the state, and at least 2 a week in Madison County somewhere.
So now you have the facts, and now you have the opportunity to really make a difference. Megan left us with this one last thought.
We really need anybody who hasn't thought about donating blood before. We really need you to think about it and start trying to join us. There's a gap there that we continually see, and the only way that we're going to fill that gap is if we can encourage those who aren't donating blood right now to join us. 37% of the population is eligible to donate blood, yet less than 10% do.
Megan Borgman of Versity Blood Center of Indiana, thank you for your efforts to make our community a better place to live. Support the efforts of organizations like Versity. Our community's future, and maybe that of someone you know, depends on it. The Buzz of Madison County airs every Saturday at 11 a.m. as part of Kevin Smith Reports on WHBU 1240 a.m. and Oldies 101.1 FM. Thanks for listening. That's the latest buzz of Madison County.